In true Mercury retrograde fashion, this is my re-recording of this video, which I'm putting out following the new moon, but still within the first few days of the moon while she is still dark and growing. Those first few days when we set intentions, and those first few days that enables the integration of the message here for those who resonate and recognize and identify with being a star seed. What I mean by star seed are those who recognize they are more than a human being on Earth. They are a galactic citizen of the community of the cosmos, star seeds. And this is a message about the star pattern in the star map of the new moon. Before I begin, I just wanted to touch on the fact that when I look at the chart, I look at the heart of the chart, where all the energetic conversations, vibrations of the moment are captured. In doing this, I am looking at the geometry, the sacred geometry of a moment in time. Throughout this presentation, I will continue to note the positions of the planets and points in other celestial bodies on the left, and the aspects or the conversations that are going on the right. This is not the full list, this is the list of those that I'm covering in this presentation. First, I wanted to touch on the majority of what I will be talking about is a quintile, either aspect or pattern. It's a 72-degree aspect, which is what you get when you divide the circle into 5 segments. You can read the rest of what is written here about the quintile from Dane Rudyard and Layla Rael. I hope I've said that last name correctly for Layla. Dane Rudyard is also the person who contributed to the Sabian symbol text that I'm using from jamesburgess.com. I will be going through the pattern, looking at the message of the pattern through the insight that is offered from the Sabian symbols. And for those not familiar with what the Sabian symbols are, for every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac wheel, there is a symbolic picture that gives meaning to each degree. I'll start at the beginning of this chart, which is the Sun-Moon conjunction in the sign of Leo at 12 degrees 34 minutes. And the titles I've given for the Sun and Moon come from the book Astrology for Yourself by Douglas Block and Demetra George. And I'll be using the titles for each planet from their book as we go through the patterns and the symbols. So for the Sun, the Creator, and the Moon, the Sustainer. And the Sabian symbol for them is Leo 13. You always round up with the Sabian symbols. Peaceful contemplation, reflection and depth assimilation of our experiences. For each one of these symbols, I'm just going to touch on those 2 headlines, and you can read the full text on James Burgess's site. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to pretty much gallop through, and at the point that you want or need, you can pause to read in full the text that I've put here. When I look at the patterns in the heart of the chart, my starting point is always the aspect or the conversation that has the tightest orb or is the closest to an exact 0 degree aspect. And the one in this new moon chart that stood out is this biquintile, which is 144 degrees between the Sun, the new moon, and Saturn, just 8 minutes in it. And Saturn is known as the teacher, and this is the Sabian symbol. And of all the 360 symbols that he could be sitting on, he's sitting on the one that is to do with teaching, a master instructing his disciple. And James's headline for that is transmission, and participating in the transmission of love and knowledge. The next thing I do is look for a pattern that the strongest aspect may be involved in. And in this case, the pattern is what I am calling a golden triangle of conscious creativity. A golden triangle because most astrology programs, or a lot of astrology programs, will draw quintiles in yellow. Some astrology programs use other colours, but I'm using yellow, hence why I'm calling this a golden triangle. And the quintile is all about conscious creativity and the drive to create. The point of this triangle is Uranus, sitting at Taurus 27, wisdom of an elder, and Uranus is known as the awakener. And as a side note, and because other astrologers have pointed this out, Uranus is conjunct Algol, the fixed star Algol, which is Medusa's head, the Gorgon's head. And you'll see on the left there, Algol is at Taurus 26:31 minutes, and Uranus is at 26:55 minutes. So they're on the same degree. So that was the triangle. And I thought, okay, is there any other quintiles, and are there any connections directly from the new moon to those quintiles? And I discovered that there is another strong quintile from the North Node to Mercury, and the North Node is connected by a trine to the new moon. So this is all about the interconnecting conversations. And this aspect is connected in a what I'm calling a golden yod pattern. And once again, the point of the triangle is where the focus is, and that point is Mercury. And Mercury is conjunct Venus by just under 5 degrees, and Venus, just like Uranus, Venus is sitting on the same degree as the asteroid named Medusa. So this is another side note to say there's a double Medusa influence here, or should I say echo. So the point of this golden yod, Mercury, the messenger, at Virgo 5 is envisioning, opening up to more subtle dimensions of reality. So, okay, we have these two, the golden triangle and the golden yod. And I thought, okay, is there any pentagram here? So 5 points or 5-pointed star. And I found Ixion, the dwarf planet, is sitting at 4 degrees and 4 minutes of Capricorn, which makes him exactly trine Mercury, sitting at 4 degrees and 4 minutes of Virgo, and becomes the point of another golden yod. Ixion is known as the wild child, according to Alan Clay, and at Capricorn 5, is main force, using power to avoid catastrophe. I guess that sounds like a wild child activity, huh? And here's a little of what Alan Clay has to say about Ixion. And he talks about Ixion opening us up to seeker consciousness and allowing us to develop our authenticity and to follow our bliss. We're at one with the universe but still exist as an individual, and that dichotomy is bridged by being authentically ourselves in our contact with each moment and with the divine. Ixion comes with a health warning, however, and that is in following our bliss and seeking to ensure we don't stab ourselves in the foot or trip ourselves up in our pursuit of being fiercely authentic. To find out more about Ixion, look up the mythology. The headline really is Ixion is about seeker consciousness. So here we have 4 points of a 5-pointed star. The other point is Urania, and these are the quintiles that make up the full set that give us the pentagram in the center. Urania is again at the point of another golden yod, with Uranus and Saturn, the co-rulers of Aquarius, at the base. And clearly Uranus and Urania are related and both relate to stars. She is known as Muse of the Stars, and she is sitting at Libra 23, heralding the coming light. It seems kind of appropriate that a Muse of the Stars would be sitting on the degree that is about dawning of a new consciousness. Here's some more information about her, the Muse of Astronomy and Astrology, and how appropriate that we have the god of the sky and stars, Uranus, and the Muse of the stars, Urania, and then also Saturn, Father Time, and the teacher, all in a pattern that is a star. And one by one, each of the characters in this conversation, the creator and the sustainer, the teacher, the awakener, the messenger, the wild child, and the muse of the stars, each of them with their Sabian symbol headlines. This is what I did to understand, well, what does this mean for me? I looked at the houses where the star lands in my own chart. So these are the houses that each point and also Mercury land in my chart. You can look up where they land in your chart by going back here and looking at the points where they are on the left and where that is in your chart. So this is just me showing you what I'm doing with the information so you can follow along with yours if you like. And here it is with the full set of headlines from the Sabian symbols and the areas of life from the houses for me. So the second house being the house of finances, possessions and income. The fourth house, parents, home, family, private life, and so on. The next step is to look at, are there any planets or points that correspond to one of these? And by way of example, I've included where I found my in, you could say, to this pattern, and that is my earth sign. Your earth sign is always directly opposite your sun sign. So my sun sign is Aquarius, 10 degrees 41 minutes. So my earth sign is Leo, 10 degrees 41 minutes, which is just under 2 degrees of being conjunct the new moon at 12 degrees 34. The symbol in the middle is the symbol for Makemake. And another side note, Makemake is one of the 2 higher octaves of Mercury. So Mercury's higher octave is Uranus, and Uranus's higher octave is Makemake. So the transiting Mercury, the transiting Uranus are in the sky, and my natal Makemake make the full set of 3 octaves involved in this pattern. And my Makemake is at 12 degrees and 6 minutes, so it's less than 30 minutes conjunct the new moon. Last but not least is my descendant at 14 degrees 49, so just over 2 degrees conjunct the new moon. So that's my example of where I have a correspondence of planets or points to this pentagram. Only have it on the new moon point. You may have more than one point where you have a correspondence with your own natal chart. And I noticed by looking at this that my Makemake, which is on, that degree of, if you remember back to when I had the fuller text for the Sabian symbol, a sea captain looking out to sea, and it stands for peaceful contemplation. Well, Makemake is the bird god of Rapa Nui, Easter Island. And for me, the moai from Easter Island, they are the epitome of peaceful contemplation. And some of them actually look like this one, look like they're looking out to sea. So I found that really intriguing, and I didn't realize that until I did this exploration. Looking at this to integrate, what does this message mean for me? And one of the things that really sticks out is Urania in the 9th house, speaking out what we know to be true, and heralding the coming light. And this to me speaks of my light work. I create light songs from the heart of the chart. And I've realized that this is astrology for New Earth, because you don't actually need anything other than your pair of eyes to understand a light song. So here's a little bit I wrote to explain. The language of light is colour. The shape of light is wave. Observance and seeing alters how light will behave. Eyes, sight is all we need for a chart's geometric song. To understand our heart's light hums along. So now I'm going to share the light song of this fifth harmonic pattern in the Leo new moon star map. A light song is a moving meditation, and it plays for about 3 minutes. So I have included and incorporated the messages from the Sabian symbols, so you can actually, once you've looked at where this pattern is in your own chart, which parts of life that it touches, and once you've looked at how you integrate that or interpret that for yourself, then when you're watching the light song play, you can be forming your intention and also contemplating the messages as they relate to you and the parts of your life that they're touching. Enjoy.